to say, and we are supposed to be the pioneers who have to carry this forward. So it's a really
there are real contradictions in this.
Yes.
I absolutely agree. And on the one hand, you're being encouraged to be professional, use your judgment, creative, and so on. On the other hand, somebody comes along and says, "Are you sure you should be doing that? You know, really, you haven't got time to do that. You ought to be doing this, and so on." So there is a conflict. But what we're going to look at is that. So let's just have a look at how we describe the different quadrants. So if you've got a teacher who is in a traditional education system which is knowledge poor, but is able to use lots of professional judgment, then you would describe that as uninformed professional judgment, teachers working in isolation. If we were in national prescription, i.e. you were very controlled in what you could teach, but it was the traditional system, then you'd say it was uninformed prescription, teachers implementing a curriculum. By uninformed, what we mean is, and this is to do with what the OECD do, is they do a lot of research into what is effective teaching and what isn't effective teaching, and so on. And I mean, a lot of it, what they come up with would fit very well with what happens in Beaconhouse, that they would see you as being generally, you know, very effective in terms of teaching. But if that research isn't carried out, then you're uninformed. You're doing what you think is right, but nobody has actually carried out any research on it to say, well, that is actually right, it is working very, very well. And then if we look at having a national curriculum, prescribed curriculum, but in a knowledge-rich area, then it's informed prescription, of course. And if you're again in a more modern environment, but with professional judgment, you've got informed professional judgment, the teacher as a knowledge worker, and this is what OECD, obviously, this is their best, this is the best place to be. But you need teachers who really know what they're doing and know what the research is telling them and so on, have professional freedom to a large extent. Although they don't mean that you wouldn't have an agreed curriculum of some sort, it's just that it's not completely prescribed. But it requires very well-educated teachers who are working within a very supported system for that to work. So we're moving here from a bureaucratic system. You can't read what's in here. The old bureaucratic education system to the modern enabling education system. So we're looking at universal high standards, embracing diversity, focusing on outcomes rather than the provision. We're not saying the school it's got a very good computer lab in this school, isn't that wonderful? That's not wonderful. If the outcomes from that, if actually it's not being well used, it's a waste of money. So we're actually looking at just what is coming out of it, how is it being used, rather than, you know, you can go into schools and be shown around a school that looks wonderful, but you can see it's not actually doing much of a job. You go into a school which is possibly even falling down, but you can see that it's rich educationally, so you're looking at what the outcomes are. Bureaucratic look up, by that they mean it's a very bureaucratic system, everybody's worried that they're doing the right thing, so they're looking up to the boss to make sure that they're keeping the boss happy. They're not using their own judgment at all. Whereas if it's more devolved, they're looking outwards, more confident, looking for other models to see how they're doing. There's collaboration going on, they're looking at what is best practice, they're looking at the research that's there, and you've got informed professionalism. And the point about this is that if you just focus on technology, I mean that's the area that I work in generally, leadership and technology, then people think that what you're all about is about how you put bits of wire together and how you connect widgets up and so on. That isn't what it's really about. The fact is, technology is enabling us to do our job much, much better. But technology isn't the all-important thing. It's not technology. It's what it's allowing us now to do. And what it allows us to do is to do our job much better. It allows the learner to be more independent and to be able to control their own learning more, which is, if we're going to bring them up to be independent, full human beings, that's what we want. But it also enables the teacher to be the same. You can't have a teacher who is controlled and in a bureaucratic system having an enabling education system. It's a contradiction. And the technology is now allowing us to do that much better, which is why it's good to be working with technology. But it's important to focus on the outcome and not the bits of equipment that you've got. Okay, we've got 20 minutes and I want to go back to the... Is that right? We've got 20 minutes? Yeah. So I think you've had enough listening and we'll... How many minutes have we got? 20. Well, I tell you what, I'll stop after 50 so you can get to the coffee first. What? Are we changing the time? How long have we got? 15. So shall I stop after 10 then?
No.
We'll get out first. If you're all good, I'll let you go early, okay? With no homework. But if anybody's naughty, then everybody's going to have to do homework. So. Right, here we are. One of the second school I taught in, I had, as a maths teacher, I had the head of maths in the school was a woman who was getting towards retirement, a very experienced and knowing teacher. The kids all thought she was a bit dotty. But she was very clever. Around about 20 minutes before the end of the lesson, she'd write the homework up on the board, you see. And then she'd be fiddling around with it. And the kids all thought, we've seen the homework. And she always did it so that they could get all that homework done in those 20 minutes if they really worked hard. So the kids used to all be working away, getting their homework done. And at the end, they'd worked hard for 20 minutes and thought, we've pulled one over on her, she doesn't realise. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was, I'll just put the homework up now, and then the kids are all working. They work much harder than if she said to them, I want you all to work hard. But she was very clever like that. So, anyway. So these are some of the questions. Which ones would you like to discuss? With a bit of personalised learning. You can choose what you think. What skills does a teacher need in this new technological world? Technology puts all we need at our fingertips. Why do we need schools? Do we need to teach any facts when we can Google and find out anything we need to know in an instant? Does the way in which technology is changing the global economy, what does it mean for education? Or the very fact that things are changing so rapidly means that we're preparing children for a world that we don't yet know. What are the educational implications? But anybody can choose any one and speak about it. What do you want? This one. Go on then. What? You tell us. What skills does the teacher need?
Needs to be skilled. She first needs to skill herself and then go and talk to the students about any gadget, any ICT tool, anything she's using.
I think that's impossible. Nobody's going to be able to talk about anything, are they? It's not impossible.
Enable the students. Enable the students to go out.
Get the students to do it instead.
No, but once she has to be skilled.
They need to be good managers. I think if she doesn't know the
No. Before and after we look at ourselves, we were not skilled enough before, but now after.
Yeah, we're not just talking about what skills does the teacher need. We're saying in the new technological world. So this world where there's lots of bits of technology around, we can do a lot of things. What specifically does that mean?
Eager to learn. Eager to learn.
Eager to learn. The teacher has to be eager to learn.
Yes, why not? A teacher should be
clear about her objective, what she wants to teach in class. So if she's clear about the objective, then she and her students can learn together. They can find.
So she needs clarity, I agree. Flexibility, they have to be keen to learn, they need to be clear about what they're teaching. Anything else?
She needs to go learn with the students.
She needs to
Go
learn with the students. I think that's right. That's a level of humility, if you like. I mean, this is one of the big problems, isn't it? That teachers...
It's a pride in learning.
Sorry?
It's a pride.
Pride, but traditionally, teachers were the authority in the classroom. And older teachers often feel threatened by the fact that children can now know more than they do about it, and they can because they can look it up very quickly. And
Mrs. Shaw said in the morning to respect knowledge and learning.
Yes.
That comes from.
To me, actually, that is the key. All the other skills are right. You do need all those skills, but the one big difference now, more than anything, is teachers have to be prepared to accept that they don't know everything.
Yes.
That in fact the students can contribute towards the knowledge, and they need an element of pride in their own professionalism that doesn't allow them to feel undermined by the fact that the children can know more and can do things that they can't do. Let's choose this one then. I like this one. Why do we need schools? So what are the reasons for needing a school?
We do have everything that we need as in terms of knowledge. It's the point that we discussed, volume of knowledge. The role of a teacher as a facilitator is still there. I mean, we have all the ingredients for baking, but we would be needing the exact recipe to bake that. So that's where it comes, why we need schools.
Need some curriculum to follow. Need some guidelines for students to follow.
That is why
We don't need it, they need it. We give it to them, don't we?
To channelize their strengths and their energy in a positive way.
And actually,
I agree.
these technologies, they are tools. And
Yes.
we are guiding the students how
Yes.
to use them.
After all, what education's about is about adults bringing young people up to adulthood themselves. So, although I'm in favour of child-centred learning and believe it should be personalised and children should have choices and we should respect them, etc., etc., children still require guidance. They require adults to guide them into adulthood. So, and if you didn't have schools, who was in the talk this morning that Claude was in, who was very much against schools, the last session. My view, I'd like to have a good discussion with him, but because he